all a little bit more than what we did before we started this journey. It's been more than a year. And so I think we will be able to finish 2 chapters today. So let us start right away. Let's tense the whole body. Relax as we exhale a couple of times more. Bringing ourselves completely into the session today. Let us sit up straight with our backs in natural curve. Bring our hands in front of our hearts, closing our eyes, gazing at the point between the eyebrows, invoking the presence of God and Gurus. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend, beloved God, great masters of Kriya Yoga, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, our beloved Gurudev, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints and sages of all religions, dear friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda, humbly we bow at thy feet. Dear Master, help us to tune into thy consciousness, thy guidance, thy bliss. Help us to lead our lives in accordance with thy wish, in accordance with these teachings of Kriya Yoga. May we always keep our gaze pointed towards you, always seeking thy guidance. May we always live this life so that we can achieve our highest potential. We are thine, be thou eternally ours. Bring us home. Introduce us to God. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we will do one cosmic chant today. Come mountain of my waves aside. Mother, I give you my soul. With that, just for a moment, let's pause. Tuning into this chant, calling out to the Divine Mother to be here with us right now, this moment, every moment of our lives. Home. So, Master came almost more than a year now since he has been in India. And finally, he returns back to the US. So many experiences in this time. His master, his guru, left his body. Master was given, before the guru left, he gave him the title of Paramhansa Yogananda. And then so many experiences, so many revelations of Hiranyaloka and so other things. So now we all return to the US along with Master and his companions. So let us go right away to read this chapter, I Return to the West.
Chapter 47. I Return to the West. I have given many yoga lessons in India and America, but I must confess that as a Hindu, I am unusually happy to be conducting a class for English students. My London class members laughed appreciatively. No political turmoils ever disturbed our yoga peace. India was now a hallowed memory. It is September 1936. I am in England to fulfill a promise given 16 months earlier to lecture again in London. England, too, is receptive to the timeless yoga message. Reporters and newsreel cameramen swarmed over my quarters at Grosvenor House. The British National Council of the World Fellowship of Faiths organized a meeting on September 29th at Whitefield's Congregational Church, where I addressed the audience on the weighty subject of how faith in fellowship may save civilization. The 8 o'clock lectures at Caxton Hall attracted such crowds that on 2 nights the overflow waited in Windsor House Auditorium for my second talk at 9:30. Yoga classes during the following weeks grew so large that Mr. Wright was obliged to arrange a transfer to another hall. The English tenacity has admirable expression in a spiritual relationship. The London yoga students loyally organized themselves after my departure into a self-realization fellowship center, holding their meditation meetings weekly throughout the bitter war years. Unforgettable weeks in England, days of sightseeing in London, then over the beautiful countryside. Mr. Wright and I summoned the trusty Ford to visit the birthplaces and tombs of the great poets and heroes of British history. Our little party sailed from Southampton for America in late October on the Bremen. The majestic Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor brought a joyous emotional gulp not only to the throats of Miss Bletch and Mr. Wright, but to my own. The fort, a bit battered from struggles with ancient soils, was still puissant. It now took in its stride the transcontinental trip to California. In late 1936, lo, Mount Washington. The year-end holidays are celebrated annually at the Los Angeles Center with an 8-hour group meditation on December 24th, Spiritual Christmas, followed the next day by a banquet, Social Christmas. The festivities this year were augmented by the presence of dear friends and students from distant cities who had arrived to welcome home the 3 world travelers. The Christmas Day feast included delicacies brought 15,000 miles for this glad occasion: Gucci mushrooms from Kashmir, canned rasgulla and mango pulp, papa biscuits, and an oil of the Indian keora flower, which flavored our ice cream. The evening found us grouped around a huge sparkling Christmas tree, the nearby fireplace crackling with logs of aromatic cypress. Gift time. Presents from the earth's far corners: Palestine, Egypt, India, England, France, Italy. How laboriously had Mr. Wright counted the trunks at each foreign junction, that no pilfering hand receive the treasures intended for loved ones in America. Plaques of the sacred olive tree from the Holy Land, delicate laces and embroideries from Belgium and Holland, Persian carpets, finely woven Kashmiri shawls, everlastingly fragrant sandalwood trays from Mysore, Shiva bullseye stones from central provinces, old Indian coins of dynasties long fled, bejeweled vases and cups, miniatures, tapestries, temple incense and perfumes, Swadeshi cotton prints, lacquer work, Mysore ivory carvings, Persian slippers with their inquisitive long toe, quaint old illuminated manuscripts, velvets, brocades, Gandhi caps, potteries, tiles, brasswork, prayer rugs, booty of 3 continents. One by one, I distributed the gaily wrapped packages from the immense pile under the tree. Sichikanamata, I handed a long box to the saintly American lady of sweet visage and deep realization, who, during my absence, had been in charge of Mount Washington. From the paper tissues she lifted a sari of golden Benares silk. "Thank you, sir. It brings the pageant of India before my eyes." "Mr. Dickinson, the next parcel contained a gift which I had bought in a Calcutta bazaar." Mr. Dickinson will like this, I had thought at the time. A dearly beloved disciple, Mr. Dickinson had been present at every Christmas festivity since the 1925 founding of Mount Washington. At this 11th annual celebration he was standing before me, untying the ribbons of his square little package. The silver cup! Struggling with emotion, he stared at the present, a tall drinking cup. He seated himself some distance away, apparently in a daze. I smiled at him affectionately before resuming my role as Santa Claus. The ejaculatory evening closed with a prayer to the giver of all gifts, then a group singing of Christmas carols. Mr. Dickinson and I were chatting together some time later. "Sir," he said, "please let me thank you now for the silver cup. I could not find any words on Christmas night. I bought the gift specially for you. For 43 years I have been waiting for that silver cup. It is a long story, one I have kept hidden within me." Mr. Dickinson looked at me shyly. The beginning was dramatic. I was drowning. My older brother had playfully pushed me into a 15-foot pool in a small town in Nebraska. I was only 5 years old then, As I was about to sink for the second time under the water, a dazzling, multicolored light appeared, filling all space. In the midst was the figure of a man with tranquil eyes and a reassuring smile. My body was sinking for the third time when one of my brother's companions bent a tall, slender willow tree in such a low dip that I could grasp it with my desperate fingers. The boys lifted me to the bank and successfully gave me first aid treatment. 12 years later, a youth of 17, I visited Chicago with my mother. It was 1893. The great World Parliament of Religions was in session. Mother and I were walking down a main street when again I saw the mighty flash of light. A few paces away, strolling leisurely along, was the same man I had seen years before in vision. He approached a large auditorium and vanished within the door. "Mother," I cried, that was the man who appeared at the time I was drowning." She and I hastened into the building. The man was seated on a lecture platform. We soon learned that he was Swami Vivekananda of India. After he had given a soul-stirring talk, I went forward to meet him. He smiled on me graciously, as though we were old friends. I was so young that I did not know how to give expression to my feelings, but in my heart I was hoping that he would offer to be my teacher. He read my thought. "No, my son, I am not your guru." Vivekananda gazed with his beautiful piercing eyes deep into my own. "Your teacher will come later. He will give you a silver cup." After a little pause, he added, smiling, "He will pour out to you more blessings than you are now able to hold." "I left Chicago in a few days," Mr. Dickinson went on, "and never saw the great Vivekananda again. But every word he had uttered was indelibly written on my inmost consciousness. Years passed. No teacher appeared. One night in 1925, I prayed deeply that the Lord would send me my guru. A few hours later, I was awakened from sleep by soft strains of melody. A band of celestial beings, carrying flutes and other instruments, came before my view. After filling the air with glorious music, the angels slowly vanished. The next evening I attended for the first time one of your lectures here in Los Angeles, and knew then that my prayer had been granted. We smiled at each other in silence. For 11 years now I have been your Kriya Yoga disciple, Mr. Dickinson continued. Sometimes I wondered about the silver cup. I had almost persuaded myself that Vivekananda's words were only metaphorical. But on Christmas night, as you handed me the square box by the tree, I saw for the third time in my life the same dazzling flash of light. In another minute, I was gazing on my Guru's gift, which Vivekananda had foreseen for me 43 years earlier, a silver cup.
Such a goosebump story. And even Swamiji was like choking as he was reading the story. So, though not much to discuss, but the little that we have to discuss is like huge to contemplate on. So, the first page where he is in England, and at that time, England was still ruling over India. But, that is politics, that is, the country thing. People who were looking for deeper meaning in their lives, there is nothing, racism, or they were the rulers. England too is receptive to the timeless yoga message. Sanatan Dharma, those who are attuned to that, for them all this doesn't really matter. This outward thing that is happening around in the world. So then they go on to even, they go on to hold these meditation meetings. He says they formed a self-realization fellowship center there, and every week, even during the bitter war years, when we are talking war years, it's the World War II, 1942, that even during that time, they continued, is what he's saying. Okay, now they come to Mount Washington, where they just come towards that end where it is 24th, where they have that spiritual Christmas. And even today, that tradition has been kept alive every year. Master always said that, unfortunately, people have lost contact with what Christmas actually means. So if you look at it, it's become very commercial, right? People, it's not Jesus that people associate Christmas with, but with Santa Claus, with gifts, with all the shops holding, all their wares out there, inviting people to come and buy more. So it's become very commercial, gifts and parties, and that is all it means. Not discounting the social part of it, but the spiritual Christmas is Master, which he started, is to connect with that the birth of Christ consciousness. Who was Jesus? Jesus, as Master always said, is the if he is a son of a man, if he is just a Jesus, he was Jesus Christ because he had that Christ consciousness in him. So the spiritual Christmas, when we have 8-hour meditation, is to connect with that Christ consciousness, to have the birth of that Christ consciousness in each one of us, so that we are able to, uplift ourselves and be in Christ consciousness, just as Jesus did, just as all these avatars did, like our gurus. So this is a very special meditation that many of us at our centers, we all go to and attend. And the blessings that flow in, the kind of, that 8-hour meditation can take us through many days of, in our journey of, self-realization. So, and then the next day is the Christmas day, where, so thoughtfully, they have brought what they're going to feed that day. Master, that 1.5 years that he was away, he was planning that when I go back on Christmas, this is what they should be eating. They have carried from different places specialty food that they then, got prepared that day and served to the people there. More importantly, the gift time, where every person he has thought about them, that this will be good for them. This different places in Europe, in West Asia, they went to India, in various places down south, in East India, Central India, everywhere. He was thinking, what will be the right gift for this person when he goes back? Just for a moment, let us think of this. It is okay. This was a physical gift, and Master was in body, and he got it for each of his disciple there, not leaving anyone behind. It wasn't like, oh, I forgot to get for this person. He has brought things for each one of them, one that is just right for them. And that is what the Guru is doing even today. Each one of us who are his disciples, he is thinking of us every moment. He is thinking what is just right for Jayanti, for Pala, for Gautam, whoever is here, and for everyone who are his disciples around the world. Every person he is in touch with, he knows what we need, and he will give it to us at the right moment. He is not losing touch with any one of us. We can lose touch with the Guru. As Swamiji said, that there was a Senor Quran who Master once said that, I lost touch with you for 2 incarnations. Now that I have got you, I will not lose touch with you. 2 incarnations, right? And Swamiji said that every time, every now and then, Senor Quran will remind him, Master, you remember, you will not lose. And Master said, no, I will not lose sight of you. Lose sight of you is what he said. Swamiji in one of his talks said that, does the Master really lose sight of us? We have gone through these pages where Babaji says to Lahiri Masha that, you slipped away in death. I have followed you in that astral world. And then when you were born, the master, the guru follows us. Incarnation after incarnation, they follow us. Who loses sight is us, the disciple, who says, no, this incarnation, I want to just have fun. I don't want to get into all that spirituality. Master has to wait, because God and gurus, we can use the names, we can interchange God, guru. They have given us the free will. So if I choose to not be part of this, they will wait. They have waited for millions of our incarnation. They can wait for millions more. But do we really want to waste that kind of time, right? So, but rest assured that we are in his thought always. He has the right things for each one of us. That's such a beautiful thought to go with. So now for Sister Gyan Mata, all of us know that she was his foremost woman disciple, who Master said was Jivan Mukta when she left her body. She came to Master when she was more than 60. Her body was not, she had a lot of physical troubles, and but she would go around serving Master's work. And in fact, somebody said that, you are not well. Why are you doing, running around like this? And she said, ain't I too old to change now? And then she went on to say that I have never been more happy than when I'm doing this. And once Master had called Sister Gyanmata, and she was not well at all. One of the nuns was with her, serving her. And at that time, the call came from Master, and the nun was trying to say that, she's not well today. Sister Gyanmata said, is that Master? She said, yes. She said, when he calls, make it snappy. Say yes and make it snappy. Don't even think whether I can do, whether I'm good enough to do. Am I well? So that is a lesson for each one of us. When Master gives us, anything to serve, whether we are able to do it, whether we know how to do it or not, say yes, as Sister Gyanmata said, and make it snappy. Rest, everything follows. So that's, there is a beautiful book called God Alone, if you can get that and read about, there are a lot of interactions that she used to write letters to Master, and the Master used to write letters to her. She would guide other Guru Bhai's disciples who are new on the path. So she had written letters to them. So it's a very beautiful book and tells us what discipleship is all about. How should we live our lives? And the God Alone is actually a thing that she had put on the wall in her room. God alone, nothing else matters. So okay, and then this beautiful story about Mr. Dickinson, where 43 years he has been carrying this, this light that kept coming to him when there was something that was important that was going to happen, right? When he was going to be saved, at that time it came with Vivekananda's. Interesting that Vivekananda's face came in that. Again, when he meets Vivekananda, and very interesting is Vivekananda reads his mind. When this boy, he's just 17 years old. There is no such concept of guru and disciple there, but somehow he knew that, he needs a teacher. So he says, I was hoping that he would offer to be my teacher. And he says, no, I'm not your guru. Self-realized masters, they don't have any, it's not their ego, right? That whoever comes, they will take. For them, it is our highest potential that we get, self-realized is their only aim. So, they will, if he is your guru, he will come to you. If not, they will direct us to the guru, which is, very important for us to understand that, it is not we who choose the guru. God chooses the guru for us, right? So he tells him that, your guru will come. He will give you a silver cup. 11 years, this man was waiting. And he says that, all these indications he got where he saw the angels and all. The next day he attended. Ideally, when anybody, he has been told that your guru will give us a silver cup. any of us would be thinking that, okay, if he is just my guru, he is going to give me the silver cup. If I have not received the silver cup, probably he's not my guru. Maybe, there is somebody else. He didn't have any doubt. And that is when you realize that when we get our guru, when the guru comes to us, we know it. Intuitively, we know it. It just feels right? And 11 years, he says that, probably I have wondered about it, whether probably he just meant it metaphorically, but not for a moment he had any doubt. And that is what makes a true disciple. To understand that he had been promised that you will get a silver cup. 11 years, he never got it. Yet there was never a doubt. He was doing everything that his guru was telling him to do, the Kriya Yoga, never a doubt. And when the time was right, the guru gave him the silver cup. But this is a very important lesson to each one of us, that he didn't go shopping for a guru because the silver cup never appeared. Which, a lot of people tend to do that. That I didn't get this. They keep jumping from one guru to other because of their own expectation, right? That this is not happening, or they expect something that is not happening, and then they keep moving, and then they keep moving only. So this is a very important lesson for each one of us. It took him 11 years to receive that, but what a joy. It did come. The guru will give us when the time is right. What I need will come to me. The gift of, and what is the ultimate gift that we are all looking for? Liberation. The guru will give us when the time is right. The whole thing is, we keep ourselves focused on the path, in attunement with the guru, doing what the guru tells us to do, and then have faith in the guru, trust the process. The whole thing, it just culminates in a beautiful Christmas Day celebration. So with that, let us go to the next chapter at Encinitas in California.
Chapter 48, at Encinitas in California. A surprise, sir. During your absence abroad, we have had this Encinitas hermitage built. It is a welcome home gift. Sister Ganamata smilingly led me through a gate and up a tree-shaded walk. I saw a building jutting out like a great white ocean liner toward the blue brine. First speechlessly, then with ohs and ahs, finally with man's insufficient vocabulary of joy and gratitude, I examined the ashram. 16 unusually large rooms, each one charmingly appointed. The stately central hall, with immense ceiling-high windows, looks out on a united altar of grass, ocean, sky, a symphony in emerald, opal, and sapphire. A mantle over the hall's huge fireplace holds the framed likeness of Lahiri Mahashai, smiling his blessing over this far Pacific heaven. Directly below the hall, built into the very bluff, 2 solitary meditation caves confront the infinities of sky and sea. Verandas, sunbathing nooks, acres of orchard, a eucalypti grove, flagstone paths leading through roses and lilies to quiet arbors, a long flight of stairs ending on an isolated beach, and the vast waters. Was dream ever more concrete? May the good and heroic and bountiful souls of the saints come here, reads a prayer for a dwelling from the Zen-Avesta, fastened on one of the hermitage doors. And may they go hand in hand with us, giving the healing virtues of their blessed gifts, as widespread as the earth, as far-flung as the rivers, as high-reaching as the sun, for the furtherance of better men, for the increase of abundance and glory. May obedience conquer disobedience within this house. May peace triumph here over discord, free-hearted giving over avarice, truthful speech over deceit, reverence over contempt. Let our minds be delighted, and our souls uplifted. Let our bodies be glorified as well. And, O light divine, may we see thee, and may we, approaching, come round about thee and attain unto thine entire companionship. This self-realization fellowship ashram has been made possible through the generosity of a few American disciples, American businessmen of endless responsibilities, who yet find time daily for their Kriya Yoga. Not a word of the Hermitage construction had been allowed to reach me during my stay in India and Europe. Astonishment, delight! During my early years in America, I had combed the coast of California in quest of a small site for a seaside ashram. Whenever I had found a suitable location, some obstacle had invariably arisen to thwart me. Gazing now over the broad acres of Encinitas, humbly I saw the effortless fulfillment of Sri Yukteswar's long-ago prophecy, a hermitage by the ocean. A few months later, Easter of 1937, I conducted on the smooth lawns at Encinitas the first of many sunrise services. Like the Magi of old, several hundred students gazed in devotional awe at the daily miracle, the early solar fire right in the eastern sky. To the west lay the inexhaustible Pacific, booming its solemn praise. In the distance, a tiny white sailing boat, and the lonely flight of a seagull. Christ, thou art risen, not alone with the vernal sun, but in the eternal dawn of spirit. Many happy months sped by. In the peace of perfect beauty, I was able to complete at the Hermitage a long projected work, Cosmic Chants. I set to English words and Western musical notation about 40 songs, some original, others my adaptation of ancient melodies. Included were the Shankara chant, No Birth, No Death, two favorites of Sri Yukteswar's, Wake, Yet Wake, O my Saint, and Desire, My Great Enemy, the hoary Sanskrit hymn to Brahma, old Bengali songs, What Lightning Flash, and They Have Heard Thy Name, Tagore's Who Is in My Temple, and a number of my compositions, I Will Be Thine Always, In the Land Beyond My Dreams, Come out of the silent sky, Listen to my soul call, In the Temple of Silence, and Thou Art My Life. For a preface to the songbook, I recounted my first outstanding experience with the receptivity of Westerners to the quaintly devotional airs of the East. The occasion had been a public lecture, the time April 18th, 1926, the place Carnegie Hall in New York. Mr. Hunsaker, I had confided to an American student, I am planning to ask the audience to sing an ancient Hindu chant, O God Beautiful. Sir, Mr. Hunsaker had protested, these Oriental songs are alien to American understanding. What a shame if the lecture were to be marred by a commentary of over ripe tomatoes. I laughingly had disagreed. Music is a universal language. Americans will not fail to feel the soul aspiration in this lofty chant. I translate here the words of Guru Nanak's song, O God beautiful, O God beautiful, O God beautiful, O God beautiful, in the forest thou art green, in the forest thou art green, in the mountain thou art high, in the mountain thou art high, in the river thou art restless, In the river thou art restless, in the ocean thou art grave, in the ocean thou art grave. To the serviceful thou art service, to the serviceful thou art service, to the lover thou art love, to the lover thou art love. To the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the yogi thou art bliss, to the yogi thou art bliss. O God beautiful, O God beautiful, at thy feet, O I do bow. O God beautiful, O God beautiful. During the lecture, Mr. Hunsaker had sat behind me on the platform, probably fearing for my safety. His doubts were groundless. Not only had there been an absence of unwelcome vegetables, but for 1 hour and 25 minutes the strains of O God Beautiful had sounded uninterruptedly from 3,000 throats. Blasé no longer, dear New Yorkers. Your hearts had soared out in a simple paean of rejoicing. Divine healings had taken place that evening among the devotees, chanting with love the Lord's blessed name. The secluded life of a literary minstrel was not my role for long. Soon I was dividing every fortnight between Los Angeles and Encinitas. Sunday services, classes, lectures before clubs and colleges, interviews with students, ceaseless streams of correspondence, articles for East-West, direction of activities in India, and numerous small centers in American cities. Much time was given also to the arrangement of Kriya and other self-realization fellowship teachings, into a series of studies for the distant yoga seekers whose zeal recognized no limitation of space. Joyous dedication of a self-realization church of all religions took place in 1938 at Washington, D.C. Set amidst landscaped grounds, the stately church stands in a section of the city aptly called Friendship Heights. The Washington leader is Swami Premananda, educated at the Ranchi School and Calcutta University. I had summoned him in 1928 to assume leadership of the Washington Self-Realization Fellowship Center. Premananda, I told him during a visit to his new temple, this eastern headquarters is a memorial in stone to your tireless devotion. Here in the nation's capital, you have held aloft the light of Lahiri Mahashai's ideals. Premananda accompanied me from Washington for a brief visit to the Self-Realization Fellowship Center in Boston. What joy to see again the Kriya Yoga band who had remained steadfast since 1920. The Boston leader, Dr. M.W. Lewis, lodged my companion and myself in a modern, artistically decorated suite. "Sir," Dr. Lewis said to me, smiling, "during your early years in America, you stayed in this city in a single room without bath. I want you to know that Boston possesses some luxurious apartments." The shadows of approaching carnage were lengthening over the world. Already the acute ear might hear the frightful drums of war. During interviews with thousands in California and through a worldwide correspondence, I found that men and women were deeply searching their hearts. The tragic outer insecurity had emphasized need for the eternal anchorage. We have learned indeed the value of meditation, the leader of the London Self-Realization Fellowship Center wrote me in 1941, and know that nothing can disturb our inner peace. In the last few weeks during the meetings, we have heard air raid warnings and listened to the explosion of delayed action bombs, but our students still gather and thoroughly enjoy our beautiful service. Another letter reached me from war-torn England just before America entered the conflict. In nobly pathetic words, Dr. L. Cranmer Bing, noted editor of the Wisdom of the East series, wrote, quote, "When I read East-West, I realized how far apart we seemed to be, apparently living in two different worlds. Beauty, order, calm, and peace come to me from Los Angeles, sailing into port as a vessel laden with the blessings and comfort of the Holy Grail to a beleaguered city. I see as in a dream your palm tree grove, and the temple at Encinitas with its ocean stretches and mountain views, and above all its fellowship of spiritually minded men and women, a community comprehended in unity, absorbed in creative work, and replenished in contemplation. It is the world of my own vision, in the making of which I hoped to bear my little part, and now, perhaps in the body I shall never reach your golden shores, nor worship in your temple. But it is something and more to have had the vision, and know that in the midst of war there is still a peace that abides in your harbors and among your hills. Greetings to all the fellowship from a common soldier, written on the watchtower, waiting for the dawn." The war years brought a spiritual awakening among men whose diversions had never before included a study of the New Testament. One sweet distilment from the bitter herbs of war. To satisfy a growing need, an inspiring little self-realization church of all religions was built and dedicated in 1942 at Hollywood. The site faces Olive Hill and the distant Los Angeles Planetarium. The church, finished in blue, white, and gold, is reflected amidst the water hyacinths in a large pool. The gardens are gay with flowers, a few startled stone deer, a stained glass pergola, and a quaint wishing well. Thrown in with the pennies and the kaleidoscopic wishes of man has been many a pure aspiration for the soul treasures of spirit. A universal benignity flows from the small niches with statues of Lahiri Mahashai and Sri Yukteswar, and of Krishna, Buddha, Confucius, Saint Francis, and a beautiful mother-of-pearl reproduction of Christ at the Last Supper. Another self-realization church of all religions was founded in 1943 at San Diego. A quiet hilltop temple, it stands in a sloping valley of eucalypti overlooking sparkling San Diego Bay. Sitting one evening in this tranquil haven, I was pouring out my heart in song. Under my fingers was the sweet-toned organ of the church. On my lips the yearning plaint of an ancient Bengali devotee who had searched for eternal solace. In this world, mother, no one can love me. In this world they do not know love divine. In this world, mother, no one can love me. In this world they do not know love divine. Where is their pure loving love? Where is their purely loving thee? There my heart longs to be. There my heart longs to be. My companion in the chapel, Dr. Lloyd Cannell, the San Diego Center leader, was smiling a little at the words of the song. "Tell me truly, Paramahansaji, has it been worth it?" He gazed at me with an earnest sincerity. I understood his laconic question. "Have you been happy in America? What about the disillusionments, the heartaches, the center leaders who could not lead, the students who could not be taught?" "Blessed is the man whom the Lord doth test, Doctor. He has remembered now and then to put a burden on me. I thought then of all the faithful ones, of the love and devotion and understanding that lay in the heart of America. With slow emphasis I went on, but my answer is yes, 1,000 times yes. It has been worthwhile. It has been a constant inspiration, more than ever I dreamed, to see West and East brought closer in the only lasting bond, the spiritual. Silently I added a prayer. May Babaji and Sri Yukteswar feel that I have done my part, not disappointing the high hope in which they sent me forth. I turned again to the organ. This time my song was tinged with a martial valor. The grinding wheel of time doth mar full many a life of moon and star, and many a brightly smiling morn, but still my soul is marching on. Darkness, death, and failures vied, to block my path they fiercely tried, my fight with jealous natures strong, but still my soul is marching on. New Year's week of 1945 found me at work in my Encinitas study, revising the manuscript of this book. Paramahansaji, please come outdoors. Dr. Lewis, on a visit from Boston, smiled at me pleadingly from outside my window. Soon we were strolling in the sunshine. My companion pointed to new towers in process of construction along the edge of the fellowship property, adjoining the coast highway. Sir, I see many improvements here since my last visit. Dr. Lewis comes twice annually from Boston to Encinitas. Yes, Doctor, a project I have long considered is beginning to take definite form. In these beautiful surroundings, I have started a miniature world colony. Brotherhood is an ideal better understood by example than precept. A small, harmonious group here may inspire other ideal communities over the earth. A splendid idea, sir. The colony will surely be a success if everyone sincerely does his best. World is a large term, but man must enlarge his allegiance, considering himself in the light of a world citizen, I continued. A person who truly feels the world is my homeland. It is my America, my India, my Philippines, my England, my Africa, will never lack scope for a useful and happy life. His natural local pride will know limitless expansion. He will be in touch with creative, universal currents. Dr. Lewis and I halted above the lotus pool near the Hermitage. Below us lay the illimitable Pacific. These same waters break equally on the coasts of West and East, in California and China. My companion threw a little stone into the first of the oceanic 70 million square miles. Encinitas is a symbolic spot for a world colony. That is true, Doctor. We shall arrange here for many conferences and congresses of religion, inviting delegates from all lands. Flags of the nations will hang in our halls. Diminutive temples will be built over the grounds, dedicated to the world's principal religions. As soon as possible, I went on, I plan to open a yoga institute here. The blessed role of Kriya Yoga in the West has hardly more than just begun. May all men come to know that there is a definite scientific technique of self-realization for the overcoming of all human misery. Far into the night, my dear friend, the first Kriya Yogi in America, discussed with me the need for world colonies founded on a spiritual basis. The ills attributed to an anthropomorphic abstraction called society may be laid more realistically at the door of every man. Utopia must spring in the private bosom before it can flower in civic virtue. Man is a soul, not an institution. His inner reforms alone can lend permanence to outer ones. by stress on spiritual values, self-realization, a colony exemplifying world brotherhood is empowered to send inspiring vibrations far beyond its locale. August 15th, 1945. Close of Global War II. End of a world, dawn of an enigmatic atomic age. The Hermitage residents gathered in the main hall for a prayer of thanksgiving. Heavenly Father, may it never be again. Thy children go henceforth as brothers. Gone was the tension of war years. Our spirits purred in the sun of peace. I gazed happily at each of my American comrades. Lord, I thought gratefully, Thou hast given this monk a
large family. So this Encinitas, this chapter actually was the last chapter Master had written, and it was published. The autobiography of a yogi was published. Later on, he had added the 49th chapter, which is the next one, which is kind of long, and it covered the last few years till he left the body in 1952. So it's such a beautiful gift that his disciples give. One of the main persons who had, donated for this making of this Encinitas was Saint Lin, who is known as Rajrishi Janakananda. And there were other American businessmen whom Master says, American businessmen of endless responsibility. I mean, Saint Lin was millionaire in those days. In those days, a millionaire must be like, much more a billionaire probably in these times. He had 4 different businesses to run. And Master says, American businessmen of endless responsibilities who yet find time daily for their Kriya Yoga. So that was the base of all that they were doing. The seva that they did, this beautiful ashram that they created for their guru, to surprise their guru. And he says, during my early years in America, I had combed the coast of California in quest of a small site for a seaside ashram. Whenever I found a suitable location, some obstacle had invariably arisen to thwart me. And we would think that, Master, obviously he should know where to go for it, right? No, it's not like that. He's telling that, there were obstacles. And then when this comes, the disciples were, I mean, if you all remember that chapter, years in my Master's Hermitage, where Sri Yukteswar is talking, he's giving the lecture on Bhagavad Gita, and he says to Mukunda that you are not concentrating. He says, no, I'm concentrating. He says, no, in your mind, there are 3 buildings that I can see that you are creating in your mind. That will come. Right now, you just concentrate on one. And he says that one of them will be on land, the other will be close to the sea, and one will be on the hillside. And that all came through, right? The Ranchi was the land, and the Mount Washington was on the hill. This was the last, the one that he had mentioned will come, the seaside ashram. And the disciples were never aware of this, right? They didn't know that there was something that was being, that was on Master's mind, or Sri Yukteswar had predicted. Yet, what they created was just right. And that's what he says, that humbly I saw the effortless fulfillment of Sri Yukteswar's long ago prophecy, a hermitage by the ocean. So here there are so many chants that he mentions that, we hear, we sing together, so many of them. All these chants, he says, he translated them into English. And then he goes on to talk about this, Oh God, Beautiful, which is again, the original one was by Guru Nanak, He Hari Sundara. And says that, but for 1 hour, 25 minutes of the strain of Oh God, Beautiful had sounded uninterruptedly from 3,000 throats, where, the American disciple was saying that tomatoes will come flying. And he says, divine healings had taken place that evening. So many. The new path, Swamiji writes that after this was finished and Master was sitting in that room inside, one man came and threw his gun on the table and he said, "What have you done to me? I can never go back to that kind of life." That kind of healings had happened. Apart from physical healings, spiritual healings had happened that day, where this man was, he couldn't have gone back to that life again. So that kind of healings, this is something that we can probably do together, where we just play "Oh God Beautiful" on a loop for 1 hour, 25 minutes. That's a long. How many of us have even tried listening to it for that long time? Remembering that, healings can happen. The chanting, that is the power of chanting, right? That is why Master said chanting is half the battle. Half the battle, what is this battle that we are all fighting between our, aspirations, God fulfilling aspirations versus our, the downward pulling currents, that take us towards worldly existence. And in that battle, he says, half of that battle is chanting. That is the power. That is why he calls these cosmic chants. That is the power. And when Master has written it, he has sung it, he has spiritualized it. When we sing these chants, it has the power to uplift our consciousness too, right? That is why we feel so uplifted whenever we listen to them, when we chant them. They have that power. So, okay. He says, the secluded life of a literary minstrel was not my role for long. Soon I was dividing every fortnight between Los Angeles and Encinitas, Sunday services, classes, lectures, before clubs, colleges, interviews with students, ceaseless streams of correspondence, articles. He was not taking it easy. He was not, spiritual life is not, where you just sit, you meditate, you are giving some lecture. He was busy, and probably he knew that, not probably, he knew his time, he had only this much time before he left his body. So probably that was the reason he was in a hurry there was so much to do, so much left. So he was planting the seeds, kind of the spiritual seeds all over America, doing so much, so that, this whole thing, even after planting it in the ether, so that it just spreads. And we can see, now how it has spread all over the globe. The teachings that he has brought to the West. Okay. Much time was given also to the arrangement of Kriya and other, so the lessons that even today are going from YSS and the SRF, all that he arranged, he organized everything. And he was setting up a lot of SRF temples all over America also. And he says he brought teachers from his students from Ranchi. And here he says, Dr. Lewis, where in Boston, he goes on to say that he was the first Kriya Yogi, and he was the first disciple, right? And there was this dinner where Master was there with Dr. Lewis, and one lady asked him that, so Dr. Lewis was your first disciple, and Master said that that's what they say so, but she was very confused. But the whole point was Master never looked at any of them as his disciple. For them, they are all God's disciple. He was just a channel, a pure channel, who was, taking them towards God. So, okay. So here we go. This, the last part of this, where the London Self-Realization Fellowship, in the previous chapter also they had mentioned this. Here also they're saying that he wrote to me, and know that nothing can disturb our inner peace. In the last few weeks during the meetings, we have heard air raid warnings and listened to the explosion of delayed action bombs, but our students still gather and thoroughly enjoy our beautiful service. This is something that is awakening, that should be like, a thing that a takeaway for each one of us. How much more can it get bad? No, there were bombs that were being thrown on the city, yet Master had said that, the disciples should get together every weekend and, hold these meetings, the services, and religiously, come what may, they were getting together. So this is, all of us, we all, on Sundays, we are supposed to get together for satsangs. And we all have various reasons why the life, the Maya takes us away. There is always a reason why we can't. But no reason can be much more complicated than bombs falling on your city. And yet they were all there. Because he says, nothing can disturb our inner peace. When we have the faith in our Guru, and when the Guru says, and here the Guru was not even present physically, he was far away in the US, yet the Guru has said, assemble, they assembled. Come what may, they assembled. This is a very important takeaway for all of us, that we also need to be doing this. Okay. So then it goes on to describe the various churches that he had created. And this is an interesting question, no? That person asks that, this shows that how much trouble, if you can call it a problem or trouble, that Master had to go through. It wasn't so easy. He had gone to America during a time when there were not many Indians there. Not many people were receptive. It was a very racist country at that time. And here was a brown man in an orange robe with long flying hair walking up there. Must have been a difficult time. He didn't have any friends there. But not many Indians to, host him and all that. Must have been a real, he must have put out a lot of energy. There must have been a lot of obstacles, but he just, because Babaji and Sri Yukteswar had put it on him that he has to go and spread. That was his dispensation, and he took it very seriously, and he did everything that he can do to be able to manifest that. So when this question comes, he says, yes, 1,000 times, yes. More than ever, I dream to see West and East brought closer in the only lasting bond, which is the spiritual. And Master, even then, not for a moment, forgetting, he's saying silently, I added a prayer. May Babaji and Sri Yukteswar feel that I have done my part, not disappointing the high hope in which they sent me for. So humble, so humble. Yeah, I have done it. I have managed to do it. So many centers I have set up. Look at me. No, even now, he says, I just hope I haven't disappointed my Guru. I haven't disappointed Babaji. That kind of humility is what, is something we have to imbibe even as we go doing our part, our seva towards our Guru. That it is not really me who is doing. I just hope that, my Guru is happy with what I'm doing. My Guru is pleased with what I'm doing. That should be the thing that guides us, that keeps us going. And this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, he wrote when he was in Encinitas. So this Cosmic Chants, autobiography, so many important things. I'm sure there were more books also that we would have written. So it was, as he says, was written here. And here, interestingly, Master talks about world brotherhood colonies, where, like-minded people, he says that society and all that they say is not, man is not an institution, we are souls. And it is good, those of us who are on the path, that we band together and form this world brotherhood colony. Swamiji says that, there was this dinner that they had gone to, or a tea party with some lady who, she was a rich woman, she had invited, and it was a very unlikely place. And Master had spoken very, very forcefully that, young men should go north, east, west, south, and create these colonies, this world brotherhood colonies. And Swamiji was one of those who was in the audience, and he took it very seriously. And we know now, he went on to establish this the brotherhood colony that Master and Dr. Lewis were talking. There's almost half a page where he's talking about it, that miniature world colony. Brotherhood is an ideal better understood by example than precept. And that is exactly what Swamiji did. he got together, the Jyotishji, Deviji, they were all young men who were just out of colleges. They got together and they created this Ananda village. And then later on, other places in Palo Alto, and then other places in Assisi in Europe. What Master had envisaged, I mean, he had probably this, he couldn't, I mean, he was trying in Encinitas to do that, but probably, the time was not yet right at that time. But Master was planting the seeds, the thought seeds in the ether, which later on his disciple, but this was probably Swamiji's mission, or that was his dispensation as a disciple to take this forward, this what Master really wanted happening, where people, like-minded people, get together, live an example of, a Kriya Yogi, with you're working together, you're serving together, you're meditating together, and create those. And that is how, because this is the ascending Dwapara Yuga, where, as we have seen in the previous chapters also, where Babaji says that Kriya Yoga is what will, uplift the consciousness of the whole world. World consciousness has to be uplifted through this. And how do you do that? Where the small colonies come up, where people get together, and, in this small places where this uplifted consciousness, slowly that spreads all over the world. And that is what he says, may all men come to know that there is a definite scientific technique of self-realization for overcoming of all human misery. All. He's not saying this or that or physical or spiritual, everything. All human misery. As Lahiri Mahashaya also used to say, when people used to go to him for any problem that they would have, he would say, do more Kriya. So Kriya Yoga as the basis, and then, spread it into other things. Where now next page also, they are talking about this mainly, the colonies, the colony, World Brotherhood colony is what they're looking for. This is the atomic age, as Master says. Atomic age is Dwapara Yuga, energy, age of energy. And then he goes on to say, Lord, thou hast given this monk a large family. So it is not a family with, family as such, as Master used to say, should not be us four and no more. The whole world, as he says, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world is mine. You should be a world citizen, all of us. That is all, we all should also be, rather than being me, this, or this country, or I'm this, just open, expansive is what we all need to do. So with that, we end this chapter. 2 chapters we managed to cover this time. Next time is the last chapter that we will be doing. It's been a wonderful journey. So many takeaways for us and so many discussions that we have had. So see you all next week. Thank you for joining. Joy to you all.